What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, I'm here to bring all of you the weekly Tokyo Ghoul chapter review. This time on chapter 130. So, I probably should have done a live reaction for this because this chapter was hella funny. But there is some things I need to talk about in terms of just meaning and symbolism and all that. So, I guess overall, it needed a review regardless. So, it sucks I didn't record a live reaction, but, you know, things happen, so that's just how it is. So, anyways, this chapter, chapter 130, had so many funny moments in it, but there was some serious stuff going on behind the scenes. Now, the first thing I just want to directly dive right into is the first panel of the first page of this chapter. You see Kuroiwa, he is talking to Furuta. He's in his office and all that. Very similar to how last week's chapter was with how it opened up. As you know, we had it to where, you know, Kuroiwa's son, Takeyomi, he walked in and he was talking to Furuta. Furuta was telling him what was going on and how Yoriko is, you know, someone that was helping a ghoul or whatever. And now we found out in this chapter that there's a little bit more meaning to that. But overall, though, there's a similarity here between the two family members. For instance, you know, Kuroiwa in this chapter, and then the other Kuroiwa, which is Takeyomi. So, one of the things I want to point out is, once again, the symbolism with the checkered pattern floor. That is something that Ashita uses constantly. He's always used the checkered pattern floor. I want to just nail that in even more, that this is something that has been an ongoing theme since part 1 Tokyo Ghoul. Once again, we see that being displayed in this chapter quite a few times with backgrounds to the flooring and all of that. And you remember how I discussed Takeyomi, his stance and where he most likely is as a person now when it comes to which side he's on the White King side or the Black King side. And it seems like the way Ashita keeps using this flooring and all that with Furuta, we're starting to see who's going to be joining Kaneki's side and who is probably going to be completely against him. So let's kind of point this out. In last chapter, as I stated, Takeyomi, he was, you know, sitting on the checkered floor and all that, and he was, like, in a state to where he was between both sides. It was like he didn't know which side he was on. He didn't know if he wanted to be on the Black King side or the White King side. He was in a state of he could go either direction. And eventually, as the, you know, the chapter continued, there was a panel where he was more on the White King side, or the white flooring side, than on the Black King side, which represented he was on Kaneki's side the entire time now, because of the events of what's going on. Maybe at that moment, he didn't think he was going to join Kaneki's side, but because of all these things that's going on in recent chapters, he's probably going to shift over to that. It's probably a sheet of foreshadowing with the flooring. And how he uses the checkered pattern flooring. And so Kuroiwa, in this chapter, it straight up opens up with the man leaning more onto the white side than the black side. So it shows that he's probably going to be joining Kaneki's group very soon. Maybe he's not wanting to join, but he might shift over very soon before this arc is said and done because of what is going on with his son. And probably Kaneki's going to initiate something to go save Yoriko, so he might join Kaneki because of that. So I just wanted to point out, when it comes to the flooring, first panel, first page, Kuroiwa is shifting more over into the left side where the white is instead of the black. So he's definitely not on Furuta's side. And more emphasis to this is the white backgrounds. Remember, Sheeta's been doing this recently to where certain characters, when they're talking about one of the other individuals to each other, like when Kaneki's getting a message from Furuta, or people at work underneath Furuta, like Mutsuki, you have it to where the background's kind of black, just showing, like, you know, whose side she's on. While we have it to where, when it comes to the white side, just shows, like, oh, you know, they're on Kaneki's side, or they're not trying to work against Kaneki. So there's been a constant usage of this theme in recent chapters, and if you look, all the panels with Kuroiwa, even Furuta, it's white background, which represents, like, you know, what Kuroiwa's thinking. Like, he has a clean state of mind. Like, he has this clear mind, or he knows what he wants to do. Because, see, the final panel of the page, okay, like the first page, you see it to where Kuroiwa, he's just looking out into the city and all that. And the way you can get this from his character is that he's just looking off into the distance and probably thinking about everything he's done in his life, what he has done with, you know, everyone he's worked with, all the other friends he's had, or people that has died, or is out of commission now. He's thinking on and looking past everything and just looking off into the sky like, was everything I did correct. He's probably questioning everything, but at the same time, though, with the sky being completely clear, it's like he has a clear motive. He knows what he wants to do, and he doesn't have a cloud in mind, because Ishida also uses clouds and skies as a representation of what maybe characters are feeling. He's done this before in the past with either the clouds being like, or clouds in the sky, or a clear sky, a dark sky, whatever. That's something that she does use, and so with the sky just being completely white and all that, it could represent a state of a clear mind. So he knows what he needs to do, or he's not stressed, like he's going to do what needs to be done, one or the other. So yeah, that's probably what's going on here, and judging by the way these past 2 chapters are kind of focused on Kuroiwa and Yoriko and all that, I'm going to assume that they're probably going to shift over to Kaneki's side very soon. Not just Yoriko, but just the Kuroiwas in general. They're going to shift over, which in turn might cause it to where Suzuya will join too, because of what's been going on in recent chapters. So anyways, continuing on to the next page, we got color pages. Color pages look very nice. Okay, so we move over into what's going on with Takeyomi, you know, Kuroiwa's son and all that. Well, Takeyomi, he's just sitting down and all that. You can't really see who it is at first. You just see how he's covered in darkness, which shows that his mind is very clouded. It completely goes with the theme with the first page. Remember, as I said, Kuroiwa, you know, Takeyomi's father, he was looking at a clear sky and all that. He was looking up. He was just looking at the distant, you know, like, I guess, sky, the distant scenery, and he knew what he needed to do. He didn't have a cloud in mind. While if you go over to the next page, if you're not counting color pages, you have it to where it has the complete opposite of meaning. Kuroiwa, he's looking straight down instead of up. He's in complete darkness, like just complete dark. So that just represents that he has a state of a cloudy mind. He doesn't know what he needs to do. He doesn't know which side he should work with. He just has no idea at this moment. And so that's the representation here of both of these different panels, and how they correlate is how one of them know what to do, one doesn't. And obviously Takeyomi being in this state makes a lot of sense because of what we found out in this chapter, and also what happened in last chapter. So basically, Ure, he walks up and all that, and he's just trying to talk to, you know, Takeyomi, see what's going on, and Ure's like, I heard you hit him. And at first, we're probably thinking of, you know, the other investigator that was in the room, but it's revealed that Takeyomi hit Mutsuki. Takeyomi just straight up hit Mutsuki and all that, and he did that because, you know, he feels like Mutsuki is definitely doing something, trying to lie and do something that's very contrived to where Yoriko gets in trouble for another meaning, for another thing she wants to accomplish, and he realizes this, that Yoriko's just being used for something else that's out in the future, and he doesn't like that at all, and so he was very angry, and, you know, he attacked, you know, Mutsuki, because, you know, Mutsuki was making fun of Yoriko, but also he realizes that Mutsuki is doing some crusty shit, and, you know, she's not really being truthful for what she's actually doing. Yoriko obviously is not someone that would go out of her way to lie or and all that type of stuff, because it's actually revealed in this chapter that she didn't really know that, you know, Touka was a ghoul, which is just very, very shocking. You would think she would know because she saw Kaneki in the past. She knows, you know, Touka. She knows that Kaneki and Touka, you know, they were kind of together or hanging out, so she might have known that, oh, maybe this man's a ghoul. But we gotta also factor in Kaneki has been through a radical change in, you know, personality and his appearance as well. I mean, his hair has completely changed multiple times, so maybe the reason why she doesn't recognize Kaneki could be because his hair color is just completely different, but also because he has grown a lot older. He's no longer a wimp, and also, I mean, she only saw him for a quick bit, so maybe she just doesn't recognize him to that extent, so most likely that might explain it, but still, just Yoriko not knowing that Touka is a ghoul is just very shocking. It's very shocking. But, anyways, so, talking about, you know, Takeyomi again, so he's like, I'm sorry. He just straight up says, I'm sorry to Ure. He's like, I'm sorry for punching Mutsuki. And it's very apparent from everyone else on the outsider's perspective that Ure has some form of feelings for Mutsuki. Everybody kind of knows this, and I feel like Takeyomi, he's not that dense. He is someone that obviously knows what's going on around him. He goes for what he wants. For instance, how he asked, you know, Yoriko. The man was just point blank with her. He's like, I want to marry you. And so he probably understands if someone likes someone or whatever. So the reason why he probably said, I'm sorry, was because he knows that Ure has this these feelings for Mutsuki, and he's like, I'm sorry for hurting the one you loved. I know you wouldn't like that because look what just happened to me. Someone that I love was hurt, so I know you wouldn't like that even if the person was in the wrong. So he's kind of relating with Urei, kind of letting him know that he understands probably how he must feel. But overall, throughout this entire conversation, it's not Urei being angry. He probably came there to discuss with him. Maybe he was angry, but after talking with him, it seems like Urei feels more along the lines of pity than anything else. Like he's just sad, and, he realizes something else must definitely be going on here, because we do know Urei, even though he does have these feelings for Mutsuki, he is not blind to what Mutsuki has been doing and how she has been doing some heinous shit behind the scenes. He's very aware of this. He's been seeing it constantly build up over the arcs, and so he knows what's going on. Even if he wants to lie to himself, he knows what's going on, and he's very aware of this, and so I feel like with seeing this, he realizes that Mutsuki is obviously using Yoriko for something. He probably doesn't know exactly what, but he knows she is definitely using him for something. And when he says in his mind, true, she doesn't seem like the type of person to be sly, for instance, talking about Yoriko, it completely summarizes Yoriko's character and lets us know, as the readers, that Yoriko hasn't really been aware of Touka at all. Maybe she has kept in contact recently because of the events with the baby and Touka. Maybe she talked with Touka recently, but overall, it still seems like she doesn't know that Touka was a ghoul until the recent chapter, what happened now with her being, locked up and sentenced to death. So anyways, though, one of the big things that pop up amongst this conversation is that apparently CCG, or Furuta, he is now enforcing stricter policies. And in terms of these policies or punishments, he's making it to where if anyone wants to help a ghoul or hides a ghoul or wants to respect ghouls, they are sentenced to death. They have harsh punishments. And that's kind of what I was thinking of when I was reading this chapter. So basically what is being said here with these punishments that are being put into place by Furuta, once again, it represents that he is a dictator. I mean, think about it. I mean, as I've said, the way he's able to go out of his way now and put the O-guy to kill anyone they want in the middle of the street. Like, we've already seen a couple of chapters represent this, to where, the O-guy, they walk into the middle of a restaurant, and then they just straight up slaughter a dude. And we don't even see this dude activate a Kagane or anything, so we don't even really know if the dude was a ghoul or not. And that's just left up to the reader to really speculate, and also the person that witnessed it, too. So the O-guy can just go straight up into a store of a regular dude, a regular human guy, and just murder the guy, and then everybody that's around, they can say, oh, that dude was a ghoul and all that. He was a ghoul all along. And if the family get pissed off or angry or whatever, they can just sentence them to death too, because they can say, oh, they were ghouls as well, and killed them. So basically, the way Furuta has been doing this, he is becoming a dictator. He's able to manipulate the law and media and all of this to every extent possible. I mean, in the past, V was able to do this, and they are still able to do this, but with the way Furuta is operating, he's able to operate not in the shadows anymore, but now out in the open. He no longer needs to hide his crusty and heinous plots and what he wants to do. So remember, like I said, it's kind of like the way Furuta is taking the country. He's taking the way to where he doesn't need to hide all of the evil stuff that is the CCG. He's making it to where he's a dictator. He's making it to where people view him as a god, and he's making it to where V no longer needs to hide. They can do whatever they want, manipulate whoever they want, and get away with killing whoever they want because of the way everything is being set up. With Furuta wanting to hunt down ghouls and kill them and eradicate them completely, it gives him the perfect opportunity for him to kill all of his enemies. Like, let's just say there was a rival company or something to Furuta that he didn't like. He could straight up just say that that's a company of ghouls and murder them, and then everybody would probably believe it because of how the O-guy is and how his fans are, his popularity and stuff. So clearly, the way this is going, he's just trying to make it to where nobody will work against him. Everybody will definitely follow in line. They'll get in line and follow his lead because they don't want to get killed. Because if they go against him, they'll just be sentenced to death, regardless if they're a ghoul or not. And that's kind of how this is being set up, especially with these laws being put into place. So let me explain how this is now. With this law, with these things going on now, with how people that help or support ghouls, or anyone that wants to probably learn more about ghouls and probably support them in any way possible, like for instance, let's think about the, the Will, the organization that helped out Kaneki and Akira and all of them. Let's think about them for a second. If, Furuta was to find out about that, even if he didn't know about, how they helped out Akira, if he was to find out that they were, a group that wanted to help out ghouls or whatever, he probably would shut that down and kill them. That's just how it would be. He would sentence them to death. openly sentence them to death because they're trying to help out ghouls. So any organization in the country that wants to help out ghouls, because you know there's bound to be some form of support groups. I mean, think about what Eto did. Think about what Eto put into place before, you know, she supposedly died. She wrote a book. She was a very popular author. When she put this book out there for everybody to read, ghouls was able to read it, and also humans were able to read it. They're able to see both sides of what was really going on, and obviously not everybody completely believed the book, but overall, though, there was probably a good portion of her fans, most likely, that did support that, and it was like, holy crap, ghouls are very misunderstood, and we should work with them, and that's kind of what Furuta is doing. He's trying to completely destroy what Eto and everyone else in the world has already set into motion. He's just making it to where anyone that is a supporter of ghouls will get eradicated and completely erased or killed, and maybe even their family as well if they continue to press to want to help ghouls. So this is going to make it to where anyone that does have good motives for ghouls to make a bridge, they're getting shut down and just completely crushed underfoot by Furuta and everyone else in CCG that works for him. So yeah, really interesting stuff with Furuta's character going on right now and how he's setting all of this up. Now, if there is one thing we gotta remember when it comes to dictators, is that dictators, they don't always last. Especially if you're like someone like Furuta that's, you know, killing people out in the open and stuff. One of these days you're going to cross the wrong person, make someone your enemy, and it's not going to work too well for you. They're going to become a very major enemy that you're going to wish you ended or never made your enemy in the first place. And I feel like that's kind of what's going on here. Unless that's Furuta's endgame. Maybe he wants to make everybody his enemy or something, because at the end of the day, we don't really know what Furuta really wants. I mean, that's still a mystery. This man could be doing something very noble and all that. Maybe he's wanting CCG to look like a pile of shit because maybe he wants to help out ghouls. Who fucking knows? I mean, look, we don't know Furuta's exact motives. I mean, I don't think it's probably something good. It's probably very selfish from what we've seen from his character. But what I'm getting at is, though, is we don't know if his goals are actually noble or not. Probably selfish, but we don't know. I mean, all we know really is that he wants super peace, and this man wants to have 101 Dalmatians with Rize. So, basically, everything we've seen, it seems like this man is, kind of fucked up. Like, he very selfish. Still, though, I mean, regardless of all that, these people that Furuta has been messing with, or Mutsuki has been messing with, it's probably going to come back to bite him if he doesn't want that. I mean, he might be honestly doing that purposely, because here's the thing right now. If you're a part of an operation that's trying to change the world, make the world fall in line with you and your order, obviously there's going to be people that don't want to side with you. Even though they've been long-standing members, they'll have their own moral code on what they think is right in terms of ethics and all of that. And someone like Kuroiwa that has been around in CCG for a very long time, he has seen some really crazy investigators, crazy ghouls, he's worked with some of the greatest people a part of CCG, he knows how it is, and he knows how the company and what they are is definitely changing. CCG has changed tremendously than how it was in part 1, and even before that, he has realized this, and with Furuta doing this, it might be him in a way trying to shove out the remaining people a part of CCG that could possibly stab him in the back. I mean, think about it. Furuta is not a dumbass. He is a very intelligent and smart individual. I don't think he is a dumbass. I think we can all agree with that. From everything we have seen about him and how he has planned things for so many years and all that, I just don't think this is the type of man to just make someone his enemy just to make his enemy and not realize that will come back to bite him. I feel like since he's a part of the clowns, he's been playing the actor role for so many years and all that to get to the point to where he's at, I just don't feel like he'd be doing this without a reason. He's definitely doing it. I mean, at the end of the day, he is a clown. I mean, maybe he just wants to watch the world burn. He just wants everybody burn in hellfire or whatever, maybe. But still, I feel like there's more meaning there. He just wouldn't do things just randomly like that. I feel like there's more meaning behind it. So, either he's doing this to set up for some noble goal in the future, maybe to make CCG look like a pile of shit, or he's just wanting to push everyone out because he doesn't want anyone at the risk of backstabbing his ass while he's there, because that's bound to happen eventually. People like Suzuki is probably eventually going to turn around and try to backstab Furuta because of how he is, how he was raised and all that. He has his own morals and how he has learned over the years of how ghouls can be. He knows how they are, so I feel like the way he's doing this is just he's trying to weed out the things that could possibly be a problem in his organization. And so he's getting out the bad eggs, and he's just throwing them out for the dogs, or trying to kill them at the very least. Maybe what he's trying to do is not necessarily throw them out, but just trying to completely execute them. Like, just get them gone completely. Because he can't just go out of his way and start murdering CCG agents at the moment. I mean, even though he has a lot of power right now to go out and just kill regular people, a part of, you know, the world, or people that are rival for it and whatever he wants, he can't just go out of his way to murder, you know, investigators. He can't do that, because if he did that, the other investigators would be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Obviously, the person's not a ghoul because they're a part of CCG. There's our C-cell gates, and obviously not the normal CCG agent's going to know about how the certain gates are, you know, optimized to where, all, you know, some ghouls can walk in. I mean, look at Kaneki and Eto. So, because of that, we know for a fact that the normal CCG is unaware of this. So, with that being said, Furuta can't just go out of his way murdering people. He can't murder Takeyomi. He can't murder, you know, Kuroiwa and all that, or Suzuya. He has to have the proper reason to do so. So maybe he's trying to put so much pressure on them to where he can kill them. Or he's wanting to turn them into traitors for he can kill them. That's what he wants to do, maybe. Maybe he wants to make them his enemy, for he can just get rid of them. He'd rather someone 100% on a side or a puppet than someone that is half and half between both sides, which the floor represents, you know, the checkered pattern floor. He'd rather have someone 100% on the black tile than someone that's 50% on the white tile and 50% on the black tile, or 25% on the white tile and 75% on the black tile. He wants 100% on his side. He doesn't want someone that can go either way. And that could be what he's doing. He wants to make his enemy for he can control the situation and then just straight up murder their ass. Possibility. Maybe he wants to do that. Maybe he wants to kill them. Who knows? That could be what's going on. If Suzuya gets attacked next, like, you know, after Kuroiwa and Takeyomi's handled, whatever goes on with them, if Suzuya is next, you know, in a convo with Furuta, I could definitely see where Furuta's taking this. He's definitely wanting to get rid of his enemies. He wants to get rid of the possibility of people, you know, causing shit for him in the middle of CCG. So who knows? I mean, think about it like this. I just realized something, thinking. Remember what Furuta said about Suzuya a while back? Before he officially became the chairman? Remember he said he wanted to make Suzuya the next Arma. He's like the next Arma. What if he didn't mean exactly as in terms of badass, but sacrifice? Oh, fuck. Maybe he wants to use Suzuya in a way his life. He wants him to build him up, and then he's going to end his life in a way to where more people rally behind Furuta. Similar to how Arma's death rallied the ghouls behind Kaneki. Oh, fuck. That could be what he's doing with Suzuya. Since he did that. That could be a similarity going on there with him trying to get rid of enemies in his organization. Anyways, though, moving on, basically, I think I've discussed Furuta enough. I think everybody kind of understands now. We move over to Kaneki, which is very interesting, and I want to point out something. I don't know if Ishida was trying to do this for a symbolic message or whatever, which I'm assuming it is. I just don't know exactly the message for it. Maybe it represents, you know, Takeyomi joining Kaneki, but if you go into the previous panels, you have it where, you know, Takeyomi, he's looking down, his head's completely shadowed out and all that because, you know, he doesn't have a clear mind, it's cloudy, and then when we move over to Kaneki, we have Kaneki sitting down in a very similar position as Kuroiwa was, or, you know, Takeyomi, so maybe that's Ishida's way of implying that, you know, Takeyomi and Kuroiwa, they will join Kaneki's side because of the way Kaneki's sitting down in a very similar fashion as Takeyomi. And they're both thinking about Yoriko as well, so there is some similarities going on there. And definitely, I don't think, you know, Takeyomi is willing to let his wife just die like that. I don't think he would allow that, especially someone he just married and loves very deeply. So I feel like he's willing to probably betray CCG just to save his wife. I mean, love can make you do some really crazy things, so I could definitely see him doing something like that. I mean, look at Touka. Touka's a perfect example of what love can make you do. I mean, she loves her child so much, she's destroying her own body to weaken it to the point where her child won't die. So, when you look at it like that, that could be what's going on here. Anyways, though, talking about Kaneki. So, he basically lets us know that he didn't burn the, you know, the report on Yoriko. He burnt the letter Mutsuki sent him, he just didn't burn the report of what was going on with Yoriko, like how she got into trouble or whatever. He still kept it, which shows that Kaneki does definitely care. He showed everybody else like it looked like he didn't care, but in reality he does care, because he has, you know, the overall, I guess, report on the operation of how they, you know, apprehended Yoriko. So with him looking at it and staring at it still in this chapter, he's putting a lot of thought into it of how he can do this. He wants to definitely go out of his way to save Yoriko, but he's probably not going to tell Touka at all, which later Mutsuki even says herself, like, you know, most likely he's not going to say anything to Touka because he doesn't want Touka to worry. I mean, she has her own set of problems and all that. He doesn't want her to worry because he does care about her quite a bit. So he's definitely going to go out of his way, probably by himself, just to save Yoriko. Anyways, Nishiki pops up, and he starts letting us know a little bit of details of what's going on. Right now, the people that are out to go get food and all that, suicide victims, they came up completely empty-handed. So that means that the food, you know, shortage is still a very big issue. It's still not handled. Nobody is being able to get food, and so it's going to come a point to where ghouls are just going to start trying to eat each other. They're going to go on a reckless rampage. That's just bound to happen eventually, because if ghouls don't eat, obviously they're gonna die. But on top of that, we have seen someone like Nishiki, what he would do when he is hungry. I mean, it's a perfect example. I mean, look at how he attacked someone he cared about deeply. I mean, he didn't kill her, but he did attack her because he was in a state of hunger. He was really, really hungry. So if a lot of ghouls start getting very hungry, they're gonna start attacking people. They're gonna probably start eating each other. That's what's probably going to happen if something is not done. And so this is once again a very big problem that Kaneki needs to overcome. If something is not done, it's going to be a problem to where the entire operation is going to fall. Because if you don't have food, you can't have a war or a battle or anything. It's not possible. So they need food, and right now they're lacking in that department. So that's a very big issue that definitely needs to be handled very soon, or it's going to be very, very bad. Because Kaneki won't have time to worry about Yoriko or Touka and his child or whatever. He's going to have to worry about feeding everyone, because if they don't have food, everybody's going to fucking die. So, yeah. Anyways, besides that, Nishiki's talking to, you know, Kaneki. He's like, okay, so the CCG is searching for you like a madman. They're going crazy all around trying to find you and stuff. And basically, he states like, Kaneki, you're very important right now. You're very, very important. Like, even if you don't want to be, you don't want to be the main character, you don't want to be the main lead role, you're very, very important. If you were to die, everything just goes, you know, stomach up. Everybody's dead. Like, everybody is like dead fish in the water, because that is how important Kaneki is right now. He needs to keep on living. He is a symbol. He is a pillar for the future of all of the ghouls, and for them to have a continued existence in society in general. Because right now what Furuta is doing, a lot of ghouls are getting hunted down and killed, and so if Kaneki was to fail, the whole operation is just done. It's over. And it's not just the fact that, you know, the operation to probably build a bridge is over, but ghouls might eventually become extinct or close to extinction because of what Furuta has been doing. So he's basically saying to Kaneki, I know you have your own style. I know you even said in the past you want to die in style, and Kaneki has moved past this, we know for a fact, but he's like, Kaneki, you can't die. That's just how important you are. Like, at this moment in time, no joke, you're more important than everyone else right now in our organization. That's how important you are to GOAT right now in all of ghouls. You are that important that you cannot die. Like, if there's anyone that needs food, it's definitely you. That's just how important you are. You are the symbol. And if the symbol dies, hope dies. And they don't definitely need that to happen at all. So basically, Nishiki's showing that you're important, don't fuck up. That's basically him, offering some support to Kaneki, though. And it makes me really happy to see something like this, because I really like how Kaneki kind of addresses, you know, Nishiki. He's like, senpai. He doesn't say Nishiki or anything like that. He says senpai. So Kaneki is showing respect to Nishiki with saying senpai, and I really like that. I really like how Kaneki is showing respect to him, but also how Nishiki is showing respect to Kaneki, because if you go back like a long time ago and all that, Nishiki and Kaneki, they weren't that best of friends. I mean, remember how they were. It's just seeing how Nishiki has kind of chilled a little bit, and how he's working with Kaneki and everyone else, there's just so much character development he has displayed in these chapters, which I really appreciate. I mean, just this man talking to Kaneki like this, and just telling him how important he is, And he wasn't saying it in a way to make Kaneki feel like shit or anything like that, or make him depressed. He was just saying in a way that was very uplifting, like, hey, I know you're struggling right now, I know you have your own set of problems, but we'll get through this, and you're just very important too. You need to stay strong for everyone else as well. But don't lie to yourself either if you're upset, because we're here for you. So I do like how Nishiki is as this, like, advisor to Kaneki. And, Kaneki is, respecting Nishiki even and calling him senpai. I mean, that's really fucking awesome. So, yeah. Anyways, besides all that being pointed out, basically, Nishiki hints at something that, Ishida Sui might be doing in the future of this arc. He says, if CCG was to ever come down into this world where we're at right now, underground, it would be a disaster. Like, you think what happened at the cafe, like, what happened at the end of part 1 was crazy? That is, like, a joke. He even says it's a fucking joke. It will be a fucking joke, okay? What happened at the end of part 1 compared to what would happen if they were to come down here underground. Because that would straight up be a fucking slaughter. Because right now, it's not just the fact that, they're underground and all that. It's the fact that all the ghouls, even someone like Kaneki, they are starving. So, if they were to fight someone at a high tier level, like Suzuki would probably rip through them like fucking butter. He would just destroy all of them. And so, if CCG came down right now, it would not be good at all for any of them, because it would be a slaughter. It would be very, very, very bad. So, Ishida might be hinting at the fact that this is going to happen. Like, CCG is probably going to initiate and go underground to attack the ghouls. So, probably the final part of part 2 will be something like that. Like similar to how the end of part 1 was of Tokyo Ghoul. Anyways, though, Kaneki talks about how he needs to crush their head. Since, they're coming after Kaneki, they're trying to crush his head, because it's like crushing the head of a snake. You crush the head of a snake, the snake dies, regardless of how strong the body is. And so, he wants to also do the exact same thing. Kaneki's like, okay, I think it's about time, instead of, doing what we've been doing, we go after the main head of what started this all, or what's causing all of this. Let's go after Furuta. Let's get rid of the head. And so, it's like both sides now are initiating war. Kaneki's getting serious, and he's definitely going to be going after Furuta's head very soon. So I'm looking forward to that. We might have a potential possibility of Furuta versus Kaneki. That's interesting, because we do know when Kaneki and Hinami fought Furuta the first time a while back, Furuta obviously wasn't trying. The man was definitely just joking and playing around. The man clearly was not trying at all. I mean, we know that now. I mean, look what he did to Eto. Just clear as day that man is savage. So, him not trying or whatever, we've never really seen Furuta's true potential. So, if this is going to happen, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing Kaneki versus Furuta. Hopefully, Kaneki has some form of food replenish him, though, because if he doesn't eat something, he's not going to be able to fight anyone. He won't. Regardless of how strong you are as a ghoul, if you're not properly eating, you're going to do jack shit. The only thing Kaneki really has going for him right now, besides being a ghoul, is the fact that he has a lot of training as a CCG investigator. So he has training like Arima and all that. He could fight, but it's still not going to matter if he doesn't have the full capabilities of what he can do. For instance, eating properly before he can use his Kagane and his Kakuja and all of that. So, yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to point out. So, Kaneki right now in a fight with Furuta, he would die. Oh, Kaneki would die. Straight up. Like, if it was just a fair fight between both of them, he would die. Because he just hasn't been eating. It's clear as day. And also, he's not resting properly either because of how his eyes are. So, yeah. Anyways, moving on to the next page. Nishiki brings up something absolutely fucking... Okay, so if there's one thing that this chapter confirmed, it confirms that Kaneki, he did not know about Touka being pregnant, which, my boy, Kaneki, I'm so disappointed in you, Kaneki. Like, you got brilliant character development and all that. Like, oh my god, in terms of development, he's one of the best main characters I've ever seen. But fuck, Kaneki. Like, are you serious right now? Like, you straight up, you had sex with Touka. You went into the rabbit hole without a condom. Without a fucking condom. I mean, you might have had a Kagane condom or something. I don't fucking know. But you obviously had sex with Touka without a fucking condom. My boy. My fucking boy. You're a smart individual. Like, you're smart as fuck, okay? You read books and all of this. You know, okay? You obviously know how babies are made. And this man not realizing that Touka is pregnant, I'm like, how fucking dense are you? But it doesn't even just stop there. Fine, maybe he's shocked that Touka's pregnant because, like, he's just shocked. But it goes even further when Touka even talks to you about how Eto was, how Eto came about. When she straight up talks to you about something like that, it's obvious the reason why she wants to know is either A, she's thinking of wanting kids with you, or B, she's fucking pregnant. Like, God, my boy, like, you are dense as fuck. Even, you had fucking sex with Touka. I mean, you straight up don't even, oh my God, like, my boy, like, my boy, like, oh my God, like, my boy, Kaneki, what the fuck, dude? Like, just the face of Kaneki is just of utter shock. Just, okay, let me talk about the funny parts about this. Nishiki's like, I mean, you gotta think about the kid, right? Basically saying, yeah, the reason why you're probably so motivated is because you're thinking about the kid. And so everything that Kaneki's been doing is just for basically his friends in Touka. But now with Nishiki saying a kid, Kaneki's eye gets zoomed in on his eye, he's like, huh? Like, he like, what? Like, the man's like shocked face, he's like, what? And then Nishiki's like, wait, you didn't know? Like, he's, like, shifting around. He's like, wait, didn't know? And showing that Nishiki isn't that stupid. He, at the very least, knows. And then Kaneki's like, kid? And Nishiki's, he has a blank expression. Like, his eyes aren't even being shown at all. Like, she doesn't draw his eyes just to show probably this man's rolling his eyes like, this man is just brain dead. And he's like, my bad, don't worry about it, forget it. So, basically, Nishiki revealed that Touka is pregnant. Nishiki's like, oh, fuck, I probably shouldn't have said anything because Touka probably doesn't want him to know or worry because he already has a lot of work to deal with. So, Kaneki, as soon as that conversation's over, this man just starts fucking, dude, he's speed walking. Like, look at the panel. Page 10, if you're counting the color pages and stuff on MS. He's speed walking, dude. This man's fucking speed walking. This shit's funny as fuck, dude. Like, this man straight up, like, speed walking. He's like, fuck, I'm so tired, but fuck it, I gotta get over there. Oh, yeah, but basically, man fucking speed walking over to Touka. He opens the door, he's like, Touka! And then she's just, okay, before I get back into the funny parts, after seeing that chapter, you know, the chapter with Touka and Kaneki having, you know, sex and all that, I gotta say, Touka's growing on me as a character, and just her laying down like that, just reading, I'm assuming, a manga or comic, because you could actually see a manga in the panel and all that, so she's reading something, we don't know exactly what, maybe that's a reference to something, Ishida's referencing one of his favorite manga or something, but, Touka's laying down, and the way she's just laying, just bae as fuck, like, I'm just gonna say bae as fuck, like, oh my God, like, she's pretty bae, like, I'm not even gonna lie, she's pretty bae, like, I didn't really used to, I like Touka as a character, I just didn't, she wasn't that good to me personally. I just, you know, didn't care much about her. I mean, she's a great character, just didn't care much about her. But now seeing how she has been, like, oh my God, just her willpower and what she's doing as a mother, what she's done for Kaneki and all of these things, just she's grown on me as a character. And just seeing how she's laying down like that, like, that's just bae as fuck. She's just sitting here laying down after force food down her gut and all that, like this hamburger. She's just sitting there laying down, reading a manga. I'm like, bro, that's pretty bae. Anyways, Kaneki, this man is sweating, his eyes are bloodshot and bags on his bags. Like, this man is tired as fuck. He has probably not slept properly at all. And no sex joke. I know many of you are gonna bring out sex jokes because of the bags and all that. Maybe it has something to do with that. I mean, it could be, because I mean, look what Touka says in this chapter. But anyways, though, he runs over to Touka. He's like, are you okay? And she's like, huh? And he's like, me, look at yourself. You could go shopping with those bags under your eyes and they're bloodshot. Basically, he's like, you're worried about me. Haven't you looked in the mirror? I mean, look at your fucking eyes and all that. Your bloodshot bags on your bags. I mean, I don't think you should be worrying about me. And which probably explains why Touka straight up hasn't said anything to Kaneki, because she knows how hard he's working, and that's probably what she's doing. She doesn't want to worry him even more than he already is. He already knows, or she already knows, that Kaneki has a food shortage. For instance, they're not properly being able to eat other ghouls, so she obviously is not telling him this because she doesn't want to worry him even more than he already is. So, I can understand why she's not saying anything. It's understandable. It's not the fact she just wants to be cruel or whatever. It's just the fact she doesn't want to worry him because he's already going through so much and has so much pressure on him. And she just doesn't want to break him even more to make it to where he has so much pressure this man just kills over from stress. So, I mean, that could be why she's not saying anything. Which, like I said, I understand. Anyways, though, they're just sit down. They lean back on her bed. And she just leans over and puts her head on his shoulder. Oh, that's so cute. Like, Touka is like a god tier waifu. Like, god tier fucking waifu. Like, yo. Like, oh my god. Like, yo, that's so cute. Like, okay, I one thing I love in manga and anime literature is romance. I've always said this. I love romance. It's something I love. I get into that type of stuff. I know many might see, like, what the fuck, Chibi? Like, why do you like romance so much? But I really love romance. I just love that genre. And I know Tokyo Ghoul isn't focused around romance. Look, I understand that, okay? Now, I don't let that dictate my opinion on the series. It's just, I really love romance. I think it's very cute. And just seeing someone like Kaneki that's been through so much shit throughout part 1 and part 2, actually having someone in love with him, then having sex with them, and then continuously having sex, obviously because of this convo, and they still love each other, just, it makes me so happy. I'm like, that's adorable. That's cute as fuck. The way she just leans up on his shoulder and all that, and he looks over like, like, the man's face, like, even though he's already seen her completely nude, okay, he's still embarrassed as fuck, dude. Like, it's adorable. It's fucking adorable. I mean, it is super fucking adorable. It really is. Anyways, though, as soon as she leans over and all that, remember, they're sitting on Touka's bed. FYI, they're sitting on Touka's bed. Soon as she leans over and puts her head on his shoulder, she's like, you want to do it? Oh my god. Like, this implies that this has been a regular thing. It wasn't just a one-time thing. It's been a multiple-time thing. So, yeah, Kaneki, it makes me just want to bash my head up against the wall how you're so dense. How are you that dense? If you've obviously been doing it repeatedly, how do you not know she's fucking pregnant? Unless, like I said, you have a Kagane condom. I don't fucking know. But, okay, anyways. Kaneki trying to shift the question away from having sex and all that. You can see he's still kind of embarrassed about that. He's like, your body and health, is everything or anything wrong and all that? And Touka, you know, she's like, well, kind of think of it. Let's see. My legs cramp up a lot. And then basically she says that, you know, her hair is, you know, kind of dry. Maybe it's because she's not exercising much. And then, you know, Kaneki's like, okay, I'll get you some shampoo down here and all that. He's thinking about her, trying to make sure she's comfortable and stuff. And the translation notes basically say these are common side effects of pregnancy. Now, personally, I don't really know how the side effects are for pregnancy. I don't really know. But, apparently that's a thing. So if those are real side effects, maybe that's what, you know, Touka was trying to imply. She was trying to imply she was pregnant because Kaneki's not brain dead. Like, he's not stupid, but I guess he's stupid in these matters. I mean, the man's always had to worry about his survival and suicidal thoughts and stuff, so maybe just didn't have any room to think about sexual thoughts or pregnancy and stuff, so possibility there. But, anyways, though, with, him asking that, she was basically implying she was pregnant, but she didn't outright say it. And then when he's still looking, trying to figure out, she's like, wait, are you a doctor or something? I just like the face she gives Kaneki. The way she just looks over at him and all that, and she just, like, a little embarrassment on her face. It's really cute. And she just pushed him out of the room, like, get out of here. Just get out. Just get out of my room and all that. But he's like, okay, I'll go back. And then in her mind, she's like, you're thicker than pea soup. So she's implying that, yes, I was implying I was pregnant, you dumbass. But, you know, you're obviously too dense to realize. So, yeah. That's funny. It's funny. This man's thicker than pea soup. GG. GG. So anyways, as he walks out, he's like, I guess I'm overthinking things. And then, so what in the world was, you know, Nishiki thinking? He looks over, and as soon as he looks over, he sees the calendar. Now, this is probably one of the best parts, because automatically in Kaneki's head, he knows. He knows now, because, like I said, he's not dumb. He's dense, maybe, but he's not dumb. He's not dumb. And he looks over the calendar. He's like, is there something you're looking forward to in December? Touka, she has this face of worry and shock, like, oh shit. And then she just pushes him out real quickly, like, get the fuck out of here real quick. She gets really aggressive with him. And he rolls over, which is funny, to the prison ghoul. You know, the ghoul that was in prison. I forget his name. I completely forget his name, so forgive me about that. But, you know the ghoul that Kaneki freed in the prison, and he's like, you know, Kaneki's like, give me my coat. And, you know, he got his coat put on and stuff, which was a badass moment, by the way. The dude's like there, he's like, my king, are you okay? Like, are you okay right now? And then his face, he's like, it has to be. Like, he automatically realizes that Touka definitely is pregnant. She doesn't need to say anything now. So, at the very least, he didn't know, but now he does know. Because for him to say that, like, it has to be, that is Ishida's way of saying, yes, now he knows that Touka is pregnant. She doesn't need to say anything. So, now he has more things to worry about. So, this is probably going to lead him to trying to save Yoriko because he doesn't want to stress out Touka in any way because of the baby. Because that could cause a miscarriage. So, think about that. Once Kaneki leaves, though, we move over to Touka once again. She leans up against the wall, and she's like, why do things have to be like this? I'm sorry, Kaneki, I know you're tired and all. So she's implies that she knows that Kaneki's been working hard. You know, she knows that he's tired and exhausted, so she doesn't want to worry. And the only reason why she's not saying anything is because she cares about Kaneki quite a lot, and so she doesn't want to make him stressed out, because if he also had to stress out about Touka, not just trying to take care of her and all that, but having to worry about a child inside of her, the man obviously would be very worried and even more stressed out than he already is. And so I actually respect Touka about this. It's not that she's trying to be malicious or evil towards Kaneki and not say anything. It's just she doesn't want to make this man worry too much. She knows that Kaneki is someone that would be fine with the child. It's just she doesn't want to make him worry because, you know, obviously he knows how half ghouls, half humans are in terms of, you know, pregnancy, so he doesn't want, or she doesn't want him to worry at all. So I respect Touka for that. I do honestly respect her for that. That's a really sweet thing for her to be doing right now. So yeah, regardless though of what she wants, she, you know, Kaneki still found out regardless. So the I guess lie is uncovered now. At least he now knows the truth. So anyways, as she's holding her stomach and all that, which obviously the throbbing is probably, you know, the actual stomach pains of the food she's been eating, like, you know, she's hurting herself, weakening her body. Obviously, the throbbing is from that. Probably trying to digest, you know, the hamburger and all of that for the baby. That's why she's holding her stomach. But then we move over to, you know, Yoriko, which is in a very similar state, but her stomach is growling, saying, like, she's hungry. I really like how Ishida, you know, transitions over to Yoriko through the stomach holding, just to show how important Yoriko is to Touka, about how they're going through kind of similar things, like they're bounded by a line of fate, in a way. Because if Yoriko does get out of this, like, if she doesn't die and Touka magically does not die, or the child does not die, Yoriko is going to be a key part to Touka's survival. Number one reason why she will be a key part, if she does survive, is the fact she will probably be the one to make Touka food. To make her food for the child. Because that would mean that if she's making food, at the very least the child will have food that's very nutritious. Something the child needs to live on. So I feel like that's what's being implied here, of how she is linked to Touka's survival in a way. Or maybe Touka's death too, because I mean, that could be a way of what Ishida's going with this. Either she's the reason Touka's gonna die, or she's the reason Touka's gonna live, or the child's gonna live. One or the other is probably gonna happen. So anyways, talking about Yoriko, she's just sitting there leaning up against the table and all that. She's like, I'm hungry, and basically implying she hasn't ate in a while. Probably been a while, probably like maybe even a day, depending on how long she's been, you know, locked in here. Anyways, though, she's asking, like, why did things turn out like this? And she's worrying about Takeyomi, if he's eating alright, because she's worrying about him. And it's pretty funny, honestly. She's worrying about someone else before herself. Even though she said she's hungry, yes, she's worrying about Takeyomi. Instead of worrying just about herself, she is, you know, caring about others in her mind. And you can see how she's upset of what she's probably putting him through. She realizes the reason why she says, like, I wonder if he's eating alright, is because that could be linked to depression. Remember, this is how it is in real life. If someone is depressed, they might not eat properly. They might not even eat at all. And so, Takeyomi, being someone that cares for Yoriko deeply, he probably isn't eating properly. He probably is starving himself, or he just is probably not hungry at all, because he is very fucking depressed, because he knows what's going to happen to her. She's going to be executed. So, she's, like, worried, because if she is going to die and all that, she doesn't want Takeyomi to suffer in any way. I mean, she knows he's going to be sad and depressed, but she wants to know if he's eating okay. She doesn't want this man to just kill over from depression. Anyways, though, she starts thinking about the prior events. She starts thinking about what, Mutsuki said to her, and basically saying that, Touka is a ghoul. And this reveals something that many of us have been wondering about for a very long time, since Part 1 Tokyo Ghoul. Does Yoriko know about Touka being a ghoul? I mean, we knew Hide all along knew about Kaneki. That was already a guaranteed thing we knew about, because it was implied throughout the entirety of Part 1, and then it was point blank told it to us at the end of Part 1. So, we always assumed maybe Yoriko was someone similar to Hide, but for Touka, for instance, she knew about Touka the entire time, maybe not at first, but eventually she realized, and then, yeah, and she didn't care if Touka was a ghoul or not, but she found out that she wanted to be her friend and even get closer with her. So, we have it to where she's like, a dummy, that's what I am. She's very upset with herself, which shows which side she is on. At the very least, from what we could see from Yoriko's inner thoughts, she still cares about Touka even after finding out the truth. Even after finding out that Touka is a ghoul, clearly Yoriko still cares about Touka quite a bit. Like, she's like, I'm a dummy, I should have realized for her sake of what I was doing, forcing that food, like, when she was giving her food and stuff, I should have realized that I was actually hurting her all along, and I shouldn't have done that, and she's very upset with herself, and she's like sad because she made Touka have to put a smile on with a grin when she ate this food when she obviously couldn't eat it at all. And you can see where Yoriko is actually blaming herself. She feels stupid because she wasn't actually being nice to her friend at all, which is just very upsetting, and it just shows what type of person Yoriko is. She does definitely care deeply for Touka, even if she is a ghoul, and she now knows officially Touka is a ghoul. She really cares, and so if Yoriko makes it out of this, clearly Touka and Yoriko are still going to be friends. Clear as day right then and there. Anyways, though, you can also see after she's done thinking this, she's very scared. You can see she thinks of Furuta, and he's smiling with his devil face, and she's like, I'm scared, and she wants to be saved. She wants someone to save her. And then this is when she starts thinking about herself. She's like, I want to be saved. Someone save me. Like, why is this happening? I won't be able to, probably save or help anyone else out anymore, or talk to, Touka. She's just really upset, and you can see where she just starts crying because she's all alone now, because she will die, and she's going to hurt a lot of people when she dies. So, yeah, Yoriko's in a bad state right now. She definitely needs to be saved. Definitely. So, this is equivalent to what I think how Kaneki saved Hinami. How Kaneki went out of his way to save Hinami. I think this is the equivalent of that, but for Touka this time. For instance, Touka going out of her way to save Hinami. So, yeah, I want to point out the correlation there, like the parallels. So, anyways, we move over into Mutsuki and Aura. They start, talking with each other. And Aura, being a crusty piece of shit, talking about the punishment, the laws, which I've already discussed earlier in this chapter review, so I'm not going to really dive too deep into that again. And they're just talking about what they're doing and all that, basically implying that, yes, what they're doing, they're trying to make it to where it's harsher on, people and society, but over time, society will eventually fall in line because they'll be completely suppressed. So, once again, showcasing that Furuta is, a dictator. That's basically what this entire scene implies. So, once all that is done, Mutsuki's like, obviously Kaneki wouldn't tell Touka about the letter at all. He's gonna just come to us and face us by himself. He's not gonna probably bring anyone. He's probably not gonna bring Touka. He's not gonna tell Touka. He's probably gonna come here to settle things by himself. And because of Kaneki being very weakened, he's gonna die or get caught. One or the other. That's what's being implied here, because Kaneki cannot fight anyone right now. I mean, the man's in a state of being very weakened. He definitely cannot fight people, like, at all. He definitely couldn't put up a really good fight, especially being stressed and with lack of sleep. That'll make your judgment very poor. So, in the next couple chapters, it's going to definitely be Kaneki trying to save, Yoriko. But it's probably going to be a rematch between Mutsuki and Kaneki. Something like that happens, which might initiate something with Kuroiwa and Takeyomi and Suzuya probably joining Kaneki's side, too. That could be a potential possibility. Anyways, after that scene, we shift back over to Touka. She's still holding her stomach because she's hurting. You can still see how her stomach is throbbing, but she's walking over to Kaneki's, room. When she gets there, she realizes he's not there. She sees his bed, and she sits on it, which this is a very adorable moment once again. She lays down on Kaneki's bed, and you can see the way it's going. It's like she's smelling his scent. That's basically what it looks like here. It's like she's just taking in the scent of Kaneki from the bed, which, oh my god, it's just so cute. It's so fucking cute how Touka is. But, she's looking around, laying on his pillow, smelling Kaneki and all that, and eventually she finds something under his pillow, which is the letter. The letter that is the report on Yoriko, which basically says she's being sentenced to death. So, now Touka knows. So, both secrets both of these individuals are trying to hide. Kaneki was trying to hide the secret from Touka that, Yoriko is in trouble, and Touka was trying to hide the secret from Kaneki that she was pregnant. So, I find it very ironic both of them were keeping a secret, but they both found out in the end what each other was hiding, even though they didn't really directly say anything to each other. So, now Touka knows the truth, and Kaneki knows the truth, so they both understand what's going on here. And so, she probably realizes because of how this letter's under his pillow, how he's not there and all that, and probably she thinks the reason why, he came to see her is probably because of this in the first place. So she probably understands that most likely Kaneki's going out of his way to save Yoriko. I feel like Touka is that type of individual to kind of put point A and point B together to realize that's what Kaneki would do for her. So, yeah. That's about it, though, when it comes to this chapter of Tokyo Ghoul Re. Next issue, what will Touka do? I could see Touka going out of her way to save Yoriko. I definitely could. But that is a very risky thing to do. Because let's think back what I said earlier this past week. Touka's weakening her body. If she gets hurt at all, she's probably not going to be able to heal properly. Like, we don't know how long she has been eating this food. I mean, for all we know, that one scene we saw when she was eating the hamburger could have been like the 30th attempt of eating food. I mean, she could have been doing this for, at the very least, a month already. And so because of that, her body could already be at the state to where it's completely fucked. Like, if she gets stabbed at all, it's not healing. If she gets a cut on her arm, it's not healing. So, if she goes out of her way, especially in that state, she's even worse off than what Kaneki is right now. So, it would not be good if Touka went out of her way to save Yoriko. And that is the big thing now. This is something that's probably going to lead to a lot of character development for Touka. Because we gotta remember something. Touka obviously cares a lot about Yoriko. Like, she really loves Yoriko. We know this. She cares deeply for Yoriko. I mean, she even went out of her way to look at Yoriko's wedding. From afar, yes, but she went out to see Yoriko's wedding, because that's how much she cared about her. Well, as we've seen already displayed in recent chapters, Touka is willing to go very far for her child, as far as what she did for Yoriko. She's willing to eat food and destroy her body, even at the possibility of killing herself, just for her child. So, this is probably going to be a big decision right now. Touka's going to have to make a decision to where, will she choose her child's safety and her child's life, or will she choose her best friend Yoriko? She will have to make a decision. Who is more important, Yoriko or the child inside of her? And what I'm getting at is that if Touka goes after Yoriko and gets hurt in any way, the potential possibility of a miscarriage is extremely high. Now, let's say if Touka chooses to abandon Yoriko and let Kaneki handle it, that means that she is basically throwing her friend under the bus for her child. She's thinking more of her child, which is understandable, yes, because that's her child, but it's kind of saying, like, she is more important. Like, her child is more important than Yoriko. And that could also lead to a lot of stress, too. Just this decision alone could lead to stress for Touka, which could also cause a miscarriage. This is not good for a pregnancy. So, regardless of either way, there is a possibility Touka could have a miscarriage, but it's even more likely if she goes and saves Yoriko, because of all the stress to try to save her fighting and all of that. So, it's not looking too good at all. Now, another thing, too, we have to also look at is the fact that Touka, if she doesn't make a decision, it will be made for her. Remember, this is Tokyo Ghoul, and this is something that has popped up many times in the series. When a character is faced with a dilemma, and they have to make a decision, Kaneki has had to do this many times, when a character is given a decision to make, and they don't make a decision, the decision will be made for them, regardless. However, that decision that is made for them is usually, about 99% of the time, not a good decision to have. Like, that's a very bad outcome. I mean, think about Kaneki and Jason. Perfect example. Perfect example of decision making. That's what happens when a character doesn't make a decision in a series. And Touka's at the position right now to where she has to make a decision. Who is more important? So we'll see where it goes, but overall, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.